Here I am in my home workshop. I've lived here for over 35 years, and the Baldwin L is basically ready to be regulated. There are no key leads anymore, except a remnants down here in the first key. I drilled them out, but I hollowed them out, and I left backletting. I think it was backletting in number, the backlets are still there in number 88. But other than those two keys, all the keys are without their leads. And the hammers are tapered and cove ground. They're hollow ground. And I did that using an inexpensive tabletop belt sander. You see, it's over here. This is like $75 or $100 from an Amazon seller. And this part here stands upright, goes upright, and then it's easy to stand in front of it and grind the hammers using a 36 grit belt. And this is a technical talk for piano technicians, but I hope it'll be interesting for pianists, because what the heck am I doing taking key leads out of a piano? How can that possibly work? Is the touch weight going to be terribly heavy? Well, when I press the keys here, yeah, they feel nice and solid. I've measured, this is about 60 grams or so, about 55 or so up here, and maybe 70 down here. I haven't done a precise measurement yet. And this action has not been regulated yet. It's just been made to work. I've just adjusted the keys by turning the oval pins. These keys were rebushed very poorly years ago, and so I've even put in, just to make do, shims from cardboard. I know that somebody will say that that's a terrible thing, but this is for our home use piano, and it's not going to be heavily played. I think those shims would actually last forever, but this way the keys don't flop from side to side. This piano has so many miles on it that the acrylic key tops, which I presume are original from 1963, are fine there, but in the middle, they're actually hollowed and cupped, just like antique ivory keys get. Ivory wears in an unusual, in a interesting way, and I didn't realize, but acrylic does too, if the piano has been played enough. This piano has gone through its second set of hammers. These hammers are truly worn out, but I've reshaped them to salvage them just for this experiment of light hammer tone regulation. Someday I'll replace the hammers, and because these just don't have enough top felt. I'm not sure I'll be able to voice this properly. There's not enough cushion left. Not that I wouldn't be able to get tone from this, but I'm afraid I won't be able to get the proper dynamic spread of tone, if that makes sense to you. I think it probably does. You need to have some cushion in order to have a range of compressibility of the felt when the hammer impulses the string. If it's too thin, then all the tone is on top, so to speak. So even if you made the top surface soft, it's still going to be, the dynamic range is going to be compressed. So these hammers were terribly grooved and flat. I don't dare take out all the grooves because there's just not enough top felt left up here. This is the melody area, and it's the most critical area of the piano. I did not ultra lighten the hammers in this section here, these octaves here. This is the most important tonal area of the piano. It's where the hammers wear out first. I didn't ultra lighten the hammers, although I could have, because I don't want to put backleads in the keys. But as far as I'm concerned, the lighter I get a hammer, the better the tone. For instance, let's just say, a Steinway hammer weighs 7.5 grams up here. I would lighten it to be 4.5 grams. And that's practical. You can do that. And the tone is only improved. And much more dramatic is the improvement in tone in this area, this critical area here where the piano is supposed to sing and vitally must sing, but usually doesn't sing very well at all. It's the treble area. It's the treble octave. So when you lighten hammers here at all, you'll notice an immediate improvement in tone. And even without key leads, there's nobody in the world would say that the touch up here is too heavy. This touch is, that might be 50 grams. I wish I don't have a gram weight set right now. I've tested the touch weight using a couple of scrap leads and gotten an idea. There's very little friction in this 1963 Baldwin action, even though it's got literally, figuratively, a million miles of playing on it. And it's a conventional wooden action with everything's original on it. The barrel, the knuckles are perfect. Usually graphited reps against deerskin knuckles will tend to be squeaky, but not in this piano. Of course, I've put ProLube on all of these parts. I like ProLube. I dilute it, but even so, if a knuckle does tend to be squeaky and creaky, I found that ProLube and powdered Teflon or talcum powder, nothing makes a permanent fix. But some leather just doesn't squeak, and there is almost zero let-off resistance here. Just the normal thump and bump of the repetition lever hitting the drop screw, and it's just a little bump, but not a frictional resistance, so to speak. I like to set the springs pretty weak for a piano like this for home use. See, because the hammer is light now, as it comes off of the drop and comes back up, like there, right there, I don't feel it in the key. That little bump that we normally associate with a strong spring you can't feel it. And I've turned the oval pins. These front key bushings are made of, somebody put this in with Elmer's glue. They put the bushings in, the thick, soft, red felt. And it's not that it's worn out, it's that it compresses. Millions of cycles, hundreds of thousands of cycles, probably millions of cycles up and down. And this soft red felt will develop a compression set. So I've turned the oval pins a good maybe 60 degrees to get the slop out. And this is a make-it-to, because what really needs to be done is these should be rebushed. And I resized the boundless rail holes using dilute school glue, about 50% water and school glue. And the reason is this is basically like Elmer's, but it's more soluble in water. I mean, it's more instantly soluble in water. It's softer too, and it's also self-lubricating. It's really useful stuff. I had a couple of flange screws that had stripped out, and I fixed those with the baking soda and thin superglue, a technique I've used since the middle 1970s. In fact, I taught Franz Mohr how to repair stripped out flange screw holes, and I did that in the basement many years ago. And that's a neat trick. I think everybody knows how to do that today. These hammers were not very well installed, and the tails are not properly shaped, and they've been punishing the back checks for years. And the back check leathers are badly worn, and one or two of them is actually cut through. It's really an ugly installation job. But no, these are American hammers. I'm just guessing. I don't know, because I wasn't in business when these were installed. These might have been from Schaff, but those are not walnut moldings. That's mahogany. Mahogany is a low density, relatively lightweight wood. It's a little bit lighter than maple. They're a lot more massive than they need to be. These hammers could be lighter if the hammer moldings were lighter and less thick. I'm going to go over these with a belt sander and neaten them up a bit, but basically it functions. I'm going to put this back into the piano, and since I spaced the strings the other day, the piano is going to be completely out of tune. But notice I don't have a hammer line, but actually I do, because in my philosophy, keys should be level. And I have not leveled these keys. So these keys have never been leveled since 1963, and there's sure to be lots of variations. And so what I do is I adjust my let off very close to the string, less than 1/16 of an inch, and then a minimal amount of drop. and then I will turn the capstan screw to get the proper after